he say, bienvenue, welcome, vitaємо вас, for those who talk in Ukrainian. It's good to have you here at Camp Spirit Lake on this historical day, where we'll be inaugurating this Interpretation Center, the first in our country of Canada. Maintenant, nous allons continuer avec la présentation de M. Andrew Hladyshevsky. M. Hladyshevsky est le président de la Fondation Shevchenko. M. Hladyshevsky est le chairman of the Shevchenko Foundation. Okay. Et il est vice-président du Fonds d'Internement de la Première Guerre mondiale. He is also the vice chairman of the First World War Interpretation Act. M. Hladyshevsky.
Your Excellency, Bishop LeMay, very reverend fathers, the Honorable Minister of Citizenship, Immigration and Multiculturalism, the Honorable Jason Kenney, Members of Parliament, James Bazan, Peter Goldring, Christine Moore, Bernard Trottier, thank you for being here. Also to the wonderful people of this region and all of those that have traveled from Montreal or who have taken the proverbial red-eye from Western Canada yet again to be with you. Pour certains d'entre nous, nous avons passé les 20 dernières années de nos vies sur cette question et la communauté canadienne-ukrainienne remercie avec respect les personnes de cette communauté et les peuples de Québec qui travaillent de concert avec nous afin que justice soit rendue. Pourquoi sommes-nous ici? Commençons par une loi qui reconnaît que des personnes d'origine ukrainienne ont été internées au Canada pendant la Première Guerre mondiale, ce qui nous vaut cet événement. La loi approuvée le 25 novembre 2005, une année après l'adoption de la loi, le 15 novembre 2006, je fais un discours dans le sous-sol d'un bâtiment appelé « Nous ne reposerons pas », comme appel à l'action auprès du gouvernement fédéral pour accomplir un accord. Environ 18 mois plus tard, en mai 2008, cet accord avec le gouvernement fédéral du Canada, dont le ministre Jason Kenney était un signataire, a établi les fonds de dotation pour internement durant la Première Guerre mondiale et son conseil comme administré pour la fondation de Shevchenko a été témoin par le Congrès canadien-ukrainien et l'Association canadienne-ukrainienne des libertés civiles. Nous sommes ici aujourd'hui parce qu'une contribution significative de ces fonds avec d'autres contributions monétaires et les milliards et des milliards d'heures de volontariat passés sur ces projets ont rendu ce jour possible. Bravo, bravo Emma. Cependant, je dois également témoigner pour ceux qui ont souffert sur internement. So from a 2005 law to a speech in the basement here in 2006 to signing an agreement with Mr. Kenney, with myself on behalf of the Shevchenko Foundation, Dr. Lachuk on behalf of the Ukrainian Civil Liberties Association, and Paul Grod on behalf of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress in 2008, we're here in 2011 to see some of the fruits. But what about the subject matter of this wonderful event? And it's already been referred to, and that is the people who were affected by this episode. Il y a 120 ans, ils sont venus, membres d'origine ukrainienne et des autres membres de diverses communautés de l'Europe et de l'Est. Beaucoup étaient des serfs, incapables de voter et consacrant leur vie pour l'accomplissement économique de leur maître trou et vivant une vie de subsistance. Il y a 120 ans, et Canada les invitait et leur a fait bon accueil. Pendant ces 20 premières années et jusqu'en 1914, on estimait qu'environ 200 000 personnes d'origine ukrainienne et beaucoup d'autres origines sont venues au Canada avec des promesses de terres gratuites et de liberté. D'abord, bien accueillis et plus tard, rejetés. There was a noticeable change in the public attitude towards these immigrants, and that's a story we take to 2011 because we are a country of immigrants. When Clifford Sifton was appointed Minister of the Interior, he encouraged the settlement of immigrants from Eastern Europe. Government officials made attempts to counter public opposition to these Galicians settling the Northwest and later the Bukovinians. But the press was merciless and turned on them fairly quickly. Reverend Father Maurice and his comments were reported to the Winnipeg Free Press and published in the Calgary Herald. As far as the Galicians, I've not met a single person in the whole of the Northwest who's sympathetic towards them. They are, from the point of view of civilization, 10 times lower than the Indians, and they have not the least idea of sanitation. January 27, 1898, Calgary Herald. The editor of that same newspaper reported across the country, said as far as they are concerned, the Herald has no hesitation in saying that the proper steps were taken. The first being the abolition of the reserve system, our own Northwest Indians could be made into farmers and citizens compared to whom the Galicians are so much trash. Le dénigrement des Ukrainiens et autres peuples était une position prise par beaucoup de journaux, et les articles et des éditoriaux ont constamment dénigré les Galiciens au prix du public canadien. It's difficult to understand what happened before the war because we blame internment on the war. The war was a triggering event, but it was the attitude of people towards new Canadians, and strange Canadians that actually made Canada different than some of the other countries. Innocent of any disloyalty, thousands of Ukrainians and other Europeans were nevertheless needlessly interned in concentration camps as enemy aliens following the outbreak of war on August 4th, 1914. Even though official proclamations to the contrary, the government instituted often draconian measures against those deemed enemy aliens. Thousands of Eastern Europeans, categorized as being foreign-born origins, found themselves herded together into what were often makeshift encampments located in some of the Dominion's frontier hinterlands. They were afforded no grounds for legal recourse, and with wartime hysteria, ignorance, xenophobia, and racism, this would be a deadly combination the following next 6 years to fuel various repressive measures against them. And as has been pointed out, at the same time, many Ukrainians who emigrated from Russia and not Austria-Hungary served with the Canadian Expeditionary Force. Others who served had managed to also conceal their citizenship. It is estimated that almost 10,000 men of Ukrainian origin served overseas for Canada. They died throughout Western Europe in many battles, including Passchendaele and Vimy Ridge. Ukrainian-Canadian Corporal Philip Konoval won a Victoria Cross as a warrior for Canada in those battles. Les Canadiens se glorifient aujourd'hui sur leur société libre et tolérante. Le Canada est un pays de grande diversité. Les gens de partout dans le monde sont venus au Canada pour apprécier les droits et les privilèges et qui viennent avec la citoyenneté. Cependant, le Canada n'était pas toujours une nation si tolérante. The experience of the Ukrainians and others interned in camps, the resentment they felt as immigrants and being seen as an inferior race, being detained without cause, created a dangerous precedent with the imposition of the War Measures Act. In World War II, the same War Measures Act was used against the Japanese, Italian, and German Canadians who would also be classified as enemy aliens. The War Measures Act would again be applied in 1970 during the October crisis here in the province of Quebec. Many of the Ukrainians who were interned were very reluctant to discuss or even mention their experiences. For many, it was just too painful to talk about. Still others had an understandable distrust of authorities. Many men, women, and children suffered and died in these camps. 19 of them who are listed here and whose memory is associated with the Spirit Lake Internment Camp. They were innocent, needless victims. Our heart goes out to them. One can only imagine what would have been going through the mind of a 21-year-old as he lay dying after having either been shot or succumbing to disease. Lying in a strange land, far from the cities or farms, far from family, far from loved ones. Will anyone ever remember me? Est-ce que quelqu'un se souviendra de moi? What a painful thought that is. En leur nom, j'exprime humblement ma gratitude pour l'occasion que vous avez donnée à notre communauté de vous parler en ces lieux. Cette terre tragique de l'histoire de nos peuples. Pour venir ici pour connaître les personnes de cette région, dont le caractère et le respect de la culture est aussi fort que la terre qu'ils représentent. Je vous salue tous et dans le nom de mes ancêtres, quand nous prions pour les morts et la mémoire des éternels. Que leur mémoire demeure. May their memory remain eternal. Vichitaya Yinpag.
There's a special way to do it, yes. Yes. To everybody, we wish you a safe back trip home, wherever you come from. Bon retour à la maison.